We live. Come on in the room, and when you come in, join in the conversation this time because I know you're there. You ever just know someone is there that believes you don't know it's them? It's all kind of signs, miraculous signs that you are in observation, and so is the Almighty. You know what I'm talking about? You ever just feel thirsty? You ever just feel like the manip is not working? It's interesting because I know that some believe that no one knows except the man upstairs. Then that means everybody else is acceptable to the manip as long as he allows it. You know, there's a fraction that believe as long as he's allowed it that they could just pray away later on and scapegoat Jesus. You know what I'm talking about? You ever just think in your mind that you didn't perceive something correctly? You know what I'm talking about? You just happen to be just sitting there thinking, like, maybe I got it all wrong. My manip game is not right. I need to actually go get certified. You ever ask somebody for their certification? Because word around there is you're not certified. You know what I'm talking about? So now, we're all in agreement that it's a few that want me in Irvity. You know what I'm talking about? But they not saying they scratching and surviving. And it ain't no good times. You ever just wonder how some could go through things and it don't look like they're going through things, and you got someone trying to pull your strings? You know? They just pulling you up, pulling you down, pulling you to the side because they feel like you are a YN. I remember when I seen that for the first time, I was like, that's interesting. Because you got to be savvy nowadays. You know. When they think you're young and full of it, the same stuff they were full of when they were 28, you start thinking, wow, nobody knew what I did when I was 28 but the man upstairs, almighty. So I'm just going to act like I've been like this my whole life. Who'd have thunk it? You ever just see someone preach a good sermon and then they realize that's what their grandmama told them when they did it? It's astonishing. You ever just figured that out? Because I have. Oh, let's see. We have members in the house. Hey. I'm going to think of something catchy for my members so when they come in I can sing it like a little jingle. So, oh, how are you? Oh, all right. Well, thank you. Keys are good to have. You know, you can open up doors with them or not. These new keys, they're electronic. You ever just feel like you can go back to a place where you used to live and you figure out that you can't get in there because you ain't paid? You ever just... Then you start thinking, well, that didn't work. Whoever told me that was telling an untruth. Because apparently, they be checking. You know what I'm talking about? You ever just realize that someone knows more about you than you think? The word around the angels is, I'm not one. Go figure, because I would be abundant like them with 2 mortgages on their house. That shows abundance. That's right. My father was a deacon, a real one. He's actually been in the church, a real church. He played the drums there. And he helped. The building fund, when you actually help with the building fund, they give you certificates. I seen them. You know what I'm talking about? When I was clearing out his house when he passed over. You know what I'm talking about? Because some people like to think you ain't had no raising. Uh, you ain't had no rearing. Yeah. Come to find out, it's realer than real deal Holyfield over there. But I ain't the one to gossip. You ever just look at someone and wonder why they're there? Because I have. Is it love or is it finances? When you start getting up there, you start thinking, it's time to settle down. Y'all know what I told y'all about settling, right? That registers as poverty consciousness. You ever heard of those 2 words combined? Seems like it's spiritual first. Who'd have thunk it? Now, is there any TERS in the house? And I'm not talking about real. Because word around the YouTube streets is just a lot of them. All of a sudden. Did they know they had to have a doctorate for that? Not an indoctrination? You know what I'm talking about? Because I do. You ever just looked at the good book and said, I'm the Judas in here? Because I haven't. You ever just feel like everything's changed all of a sudden? Because I have. Turns out she's multi-talented. I am. My resume is extensive. How about yours? Or your wife, supposedly. Because what I heard was, it's common, L-A-W. You know what I'm talking about? Because you wasn't about that life, sir. You ever just been sitting minding your own business, trying to figure out who gonna try to do something next, and then voila, just pop up right there, drop right in your lap like bling bling. Speaking of bling bling, did y'all see them jewels on Plies hand? It wasn't no light, but it was shining. I said, wow, those are real. Oh, we have a Mayweather fan. Have you just sat and had a conversation with Mayweather and realized he's not one of them? He is not for the play. You ever just, everything about his facial expressions shows you that he is not the one to play with. You ever just, they left. Speaking of Mayweather, y'all seen that little clip where he was on that boat in that lagoon? I said, wow, where is he at? It looked like he was doing an infomercial or something. And then they showed you the behind the scenes, and he started realizing, wait a minute, I'm in the middle of a lagoon with people I don't trust. Supposedly. What could they do? Almighty, are you here with me? Because I don't know if alligators or crocodiles live up under there, because that looks interesting. Have you ever just seen someone that you figure is from the hood because They look like they're from the hood. Go into a place where you don't expect them to be, and then you just realize that they're not acting. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be in no lagoon. You know what I'm talking about? No creeks, no rivers. I don't want to be there. You know what I'm talking about? I said rivers, not rears. Because he tripping. Seemed like that HIT is a little bit different. It's a little bit different when you realize something ain't paid. I know all about that. You know what I'm talking about? The logical brain is going to try to conceptualize how to get yourself out of a situation. But then you realize you don't have no connections. That's the funniest thing. So when you decide you're going to campaign for a JLB in the industry, they're going to say, he and she is one of them. You see how I be opening up the doors for you? I just open up the doors because nobody sees me. You see? Look. You see the screen? You see? Do you see me? I don't. Turns out the day was good, but the night wasn't. So I'm not going to say that. The night was a good night, part 2. You ever just want a part 2 and you just don't get it? Like your relationship? You know what I'm talking about? You ever just realize you got chose because you was the last one? Because I haven't. I don't know nothing about that life. You know what I'm talking about? Because they do. You ever just realize that a lot of people watch you? You somewhere not realizing that you a hot topic because you ain't got no money. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, you realize you got some fame. Who'd have thunk it? Somewhere, and I do mean somewhere, you got some fame. Now, the fame could match up with the wealth. It'd be awesome. Fooled you. Now, if you could recall me saying that when things happen to me, specifically, not you, because you're not me, you know what I'm saying? Other things tend to happen for the collective. I've noticed that, have you? Because for some reason you act like you have a memory lapse. You know what I'm talking about? You act like you don't remember. They're over there trying to think of what they could do and not be affected by absolutely nothing. There's nothing you could do or say that you won't be affected by. You know what I'm talking about? I heard some interesting things through the course of this last year. Because we're in a whole new era right now. You don't know, but I do. You know what I'm talking about? Where people were just saying all kind of things. And those that went through ascension prior to mines didn't realize that they were all right. You know what I'm talking about? When you got individuals saying, I want this to last for lifetimes. Me being able to talk to someone in their mind. You know how intrusive that is? Like, I didn't even want the man upstairs talking to me in my mind, and here you are. Go ahead. Because at a point, it's okay to tell the truth. I didn't. When people say I talk to God, you didn't think that they really talk to him. Something really talked to him. Because it's about perception, which leads me to my point earlier. You ever just realize when someone says the Lord, they actually mean Lucifer? Because I have. I would be an interesting interview. I would. You know who I would like to interview me? Creflo Dollar. Y'all like Creflo? Let's see. Y'all been stomping lately? Because I have. Mr. Franklin. I think Mr. Franklin would be blown back by the things that I have to say. We would probably have a whole little studies going on. Because I'm just that interesting. I'm trying to told you. Now it's important because when I see it in my mind first, you may have heard it or you may have not. You know what I'm talking about? Depending on how connected you are with the Almighty. What percentage of the pastors used to be PIMPs? It's no secret. Because I feel like that's a good poll. I was going to ask my viewers. Because I know what I heard growing up. You know what I'm talking about? Right out of the mouth. Right out of it. Right out of their mouth. Where I'm from, they don't hide it. They divide it. Then you start looking and you just say, I bet you he was. It just, where I'm from, when you put it in the air where it's fair, more people want to join. You know what I'm saying? Because they be like, okay, I'm not really that bad. You know? They gotta, it's not role model, it's resonation. They gotta resonate with you. You ever thought if you told publicly that you used to be a PIMP, more of the males would come in there? They say, oh really? They say, oh really? You know what they say? Tell the truth and shame Coupe de Ville. That's my name for him. You better not do that. Because y'all been blowing up the DEVIL while not knowing his rank or his calling. Interesting. And when somebody like myself comes along and say, it's because of him you're still here, you don't, see, confirmation. You don't realize that, you know? But hey, you know, there was an era that used to say, saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost. You know anything about that? Because I do. You know about being saved and sanctified? No. act like she really was in the house. I sure was, and on the choir. You know what I'm talking about? Because word around your mind is, I'm trifling. You got that from me. I'm the one that put it in your mind, but we ain't gonna say nothing, no. You know what really burns their biscuits? That my father was a real deacon. Like a real one. If I were to say his name publicly, you know how many of the real pastors would be like, that's his daughter? They would say that. Some of the OGs would say, I used to play with your father in a band. That's what they would say. If you knew who my biological father is and was, you wouldn't be around there speculating. You know what I'm talking about? Because you would say, that's not matching. You would say, Mr. Centaur, you can leave here now because he about that life. You know how when you ascend to a higher height, you learn about your lineage, not your heritage. Because heritage is what y'all tried to take. You know what I'm talking about? Funny how the man upstairs will put you right in eyesight where you could just look at him. You see how that works? You just be wondering how did this relationship start? I felt like it was one of convenience, but turns out it's past life. It's past life energy. He just put you right there where you can look at him and touch him, talk to him, pray for him, and everything. I be sitting there looking like, one time I said, Almighty, I think it's time for me to go back into the house. You know what all the angels said? Osakinesifio, you're not going there. Because it's not for me. You ever just realize something is not for you? And then what Grandmama said, it made sense. You over here the whole time thinking you a heathen, and that wasn't even for your era or your paradigm. Condemnation is right. You ever been with somebody they want to condemn you for something that's for them? That is project to neglect at its finest. You know anything about that? Put a bang at the beginning. And I do mean put a pay at the beginning. Word around Houston is you passed the collection plate around 13 times in one day. Working on that jet, huh? Because I'm not. I'm still trying to get in the Bugatti. I feel like I'm in the wrong field. What y'all think? Y'all think I could switch my life around, give it to the Almighty, and have a redo? Because they do. I remember when I first heard of women, hers, put a pay at the front. I said, this ain't right. That's what I said. Regardless if y'all feel like that's the right thing. I'm talking about for my era. So whether if you feel like it's wrong or right, for my era, it's unusual. Because growing up, they sit in the front. All the women, the elders. But on the pulpit, Somebody woke up and said, if they could do it, I could do it too. That's what that's what I believe. How about y'all? I've seen like bits and pieces of clips of the women ones, but I never really went into an establishment that had a woman but a pay at the front. So, although you may feel like they are prophetess, from my era, that's what they're called, prophetess. The real ones, you know what I'm talking about? Not somebody that seen someone and decided they would use their name, you know what I'm talking about? While not knowing what it means, you feel me? Yada. So, I just said, it just don't feel right with my soul. That's why. But, I'm not taking nothing away. I'm not taking nothing away. They may have earned their keep and they may be established and certified and all of that. And who am I to say that they don't belong there if all them people say they do? You know what I'm talking about? Ain't nobody. You ever just mistake a for a singer? They up there, they just preaching a good word and you waiting for them to belt out a tune? Because I haven't. Some in my family would say that they've owned and contributed to a lot of churches in the scope. So she don't have no heathen lineage. Like you. You know what I'm talking about? They be saying like you. They gonna put that like you. It might be under their breath. All the ones that's saved and sanctified in my biological lineage is with the man upstairs. Because that's for a certain era. You know what I'm talking about? I'm willing to bet 5 of you in here right now, you've never encountered anyone saved and sanctified. But you're going to say you did. I'm trying to told you. Now, if you hear saved and sanctified in a sermon on Sunday, they got it from me. Because they got to hurry up and get it out because Ether brings out the heathens, apparently. If they really knew what a heathen was, they wouldn't want them at their house. You know what I'm talking about? They be sitting there talking about Star of David. Solomon. Would you like to be called this era? They get it right when they sitting in the dark at home and they realize one of them bonds that they shook hands is in their mind. With, you know what I'm talking about? Because when you are sin, apparently, you dealing with enlightened beings, not supreme. That means they can sense you coming without seeing you. You ever just thought that was fascinating? Yeah. Like the popo. Some of y'all got heightened awareness. When y'all know them peoples is coming and y'all just like, something don't feel right. But we on different levels over here. Mine's is universal. Yours is for SAFETY purposes. Not mine. So we different. Y'all hear any good sermons lately? Because I haven't. I still want to know why the Almighty don't want me in the house. You ever just go into the urge, start with a and realize somebody interested in you? Because I have. And you sitting there wondering, do his wife know? You know what I'm about? Some of y'all have, but not like me. You just sitting there. You talking about gone ahead, Pastor. Put the people in the back. Thank you. You just feeling it. And then you see somebody with piercing eyes looking. You feel like you gotta cover up. They see your undergarments for some reason. You feel like, wait, do you see my undergarments, sir? Because I have. I used to watch him. The man upstairs just snatched his name right out of my thoughts. Because apparently he don't want me to say his name. You know what I'm talking about? No, you don't, because you like saying his name. You know what I'm talking about? At the oddest times. You ever just sit and realize that someone's not perfect? And that's why they preach so good, because they're not perfect. It just, you just start realizing that this sermon was created on experience, and solely on that. Just solely experience, no divine enlightenment or nothing. Did y'all share yet? Welcome to all my members. I really appreciate you. You know, I was told before by someone that was married at the time. This is before I got married, right? To not go to the COURT house or up there in Reno, Nevada to get wed. And I was thinking, like, why? It's cost efficient. And, what's this? What's it? Oh. Well, bet you by golly, wow. Somebody's transmission is slipping. Kind of sounds like a Harley, but it's not. Well, anyway. You ever just realize you can push the gas pedal under the engine? In the engine. All right, wait. All right. They do call it one of them SHOOTGUN weddings. Those was forbidden for my parents' era. Not mine, apparently. Because they said they never last. And I'm going to say it wasn't going to last anyway, because that's the way the man upstairs works. You know what I'm talking about? So all them heathens you've been blaming, it turns out it's your fault and not theirs. You see how that works? You ever just see someone and say, they already with their spiritual spouse? And they've been with them every lifetime? Because I have. It was interesting. I said, well, look at there. So any of y'all have any GUN weddings? For some reason, it's tradition to believe if you spend thousands of dollars that it's going to last. And to me, that feels like the male that is black. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Hint, hint. Because apparently, if you spend a lot of money, they're not going to want to leave. But that's only if they put some money in first. You know, they got to put some money in first. You know, see how funny how that works. Because if you pay for everything, that means that they got nothing to lose. So, anybody got anything to lose here? Because I do. Now, if you can recall me saying in one of my videos that you don't want to deal with no one that doesn't have something to lose. You know what I'm talking about? But for some reason, it's a certain era that believes they should. They should just solely go after those type of individuals. And it's not working out. Turns out they're nomadic. And what that speaks of is here today, gone tomorrow. And you don't know where because you don't even know their real name. You know what I'm talking about? They be sitting there talking about that is not their name. I know. He is not gonna lie to me. Turns out he was lying. You ever just encounter someone that feels like they know more than you while knowing absolutely nothing about themselves? It's amazing. I mean, amazing. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but it's like 6 dudes that say, you're their oh no. 6 of them. I haven't told you yet. I have not told you how many baby daddies I have. So you can't use that yet. But if I decide to tell you, know that none of yours are any of mine, you should be happy with that because I am. 12 likes. That's interesting. Who's going to be 13? You know that is a blessed number. Hint, hint. It's true. For my era, they say 11, 12. You know, for Coupe de Ville to start talking to you, influencing you. You ever just thought it was somebody else? Perhaps. And this is what paradigm shifts is all about? Just starts to make sense. But when you're on the early end of it, you can't catch the end. You know what I'm talking about? I'm sure you do. So, what y'all doing? Who's gonna be number 13? 13? 13 in the house? 13, 13, give me 13, 13, 13, 13, press that like button, 13, 13, come on now, 13, 13. Because word around the warehouses is auctions is where you get everything from. 13, give me 13, 13, oh, there we go, 13, ah, bless you. You ever just be sitting talking to someone and they don't know your life, and you trying to explain that what's good for them is not good for me, and then they just say, F it, I'm just gonna act like I'm gonna do it. Because I have. Both sides. Because some people mean well when they trying, to broaden your horizons. They may feel you oop it just a little, but they still love you kinda. But they not sure because you look different. They trying to broaden your horizons and get you opened up to new possibilities, new plans, new people, new employment. And then you just realize that they're not qualified. There's levels to being qualified. You know? When you're on the outside looking in, per se, for instance, you say, bus driving is a lucrative career. I bet they make money. Then you go and you do a search and $25 an hour. Wow. They make $25 an hour. Then you realize that's what people with seniority. Not to mention, you're going to get all the jobs they don't want. That's what happens when you have longevity. You know what I'm saying? Things ain't what they appear. Now, depending on where you work, you might only get 3 days out the week. So $25 times 9 hours, with the 1 hour being your time, not theirs. Then you put in them axes, and all of a sudden, you POOR. Just like that. You thought it was lucrative, but not for you, apparently. You ever just think somebody making goo gobs of money and then you realize they make minimum wage? And it's just a title. Like the medical field, for instance. I know because I was in it. I'm sitting there saying, I'm gonna be somebody. I'm gonna go somewhere. I done woke up and I'm paying attention. So you go to school, they shorten it. You know what I'm talking about? When them schemes come, them schemes be coming, boy. They say, hey, you, on the couch. And he's so convincing. He say, I'm gonna go there. And you sitting there, and you don't realize that you getting the hands-on, but it's other stuff. It's other stuff that comes with it. You just thinking, I'm just gonna do these hours, do my internship, and I'm good to go. Then you realize you didn't need to go to school at all because the people that's already in there were at the BA and K. That's front office. I went for front and back. So hold on, I'm getting to it. Then you say, wait a minute. I ain't even see none of that 12,000 and I owe it. I'm for sure about that because I see it on that report. Not only that, you got to get certified. Some of y'all didn't even have that option. You know what I'm talking about? At least when you know they're sending you to get certified, it's a little bit legit. You don't even know you need to be certified. Now, that's a blow right there. Then you find out they making $10. They probably making more, but when I went there, roughly $10. And then somebody say LPN, and you say you mean LVN? I don't know about now, but outside of the doctors, I heard the RNs is the ones that make the most money. Imagine that. After I done gave them 12,000 of my promise. I ain't never seen it. I seen the books, but I can't tell you where they at right now, because I would try to resell them. See how that worked? The manip game? There's levels to that. Then, when you get a little savvy, feel like you know something, you say, they gotta be transferable. Because that's what you heard. You didn't say you think, but I said transferable. Credits. You don't even know what's transferable because you ain't never been. Imagine that. You know what that means? That means you can add on. That means you can add on to it. You ain't got to stop there. Turns out all of them courses is not transferable. You don't find that out until you go in there. Now, for those that are saying, is it like the barbering college? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You learn by doing. Could you imagine going into class and that girl didn't even wash her face before she came into instruction, and today is the day y'all supposed to poke each other? And up until this point, you had a FEAR of needles. You know what I'm talking about? And you like, I'm gonna go last because you're smart. That's what I did. I was in observation. Turns out, if you move the wrong way, it's a splatter. You ever wonder where they get that stuff in those horror flicks when the hemoglobin just start going everywhere from these skims? Because apparently you're not supposed to do it that way. You're not supposed to let her do it on you. An instructor's supposed to, but they don't teach you that in these skims. So here you are, you just got a whole bunch of holes in your arm, and if you happen to go to a real doctor, they'll say, what's wrong with them? Are they a on user or something? Y'all don't know nothing about that. I'm just thinking about that gal that tried to act like everything was all right when she missed something. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Everybody's running and moving out the way. Looking for a case? HIPAA? Well, you know anything about that? Apparently you don't. To put it in, does nobody want to touch it? Some of these institutions are needed because they have people like us trying to be certified. We don't know what we're doing. You know what I'm talking about? Then you go into an institution and you realize everybody that you talk to is a medical assistant. Imagine that. Fresh out. And you just sitting there wondering how many times they had to get certified before it was legit. You know, because I've been in different fields, at least there was an attempt. I was astonished when all the instructors were saying, you passed the first time. I'm like, what? Apparently, that's not normal. No, I'm not. You ever just been on your way to pick up your youngin' and you just look at the school bus driver and wonder, did they pass the first time? Because I haven't. If you are blessed enough to get a retired person that drives, you are truly blessed. Because sometimes after you retire, you got to go back in. You don't think that when you retire, but turns out that's how it is. I'm observing. I had to bump my head a few times before I said, okay, I'm going to pay attention now. Because somebody was right. My father, he's right. I'm doing it right. I done woke up and paid attention. Y'all know anything about that? We have no chatter in chat box. Why? 14, 14, give me 14, 14, 14, give me 14, hit 14 on that like button. Bless that thumb with a 14, 14, give me 14, 14. Can I get 14? Oh, all right, there you go. Bless you. Thank you. That's how y'all gotta do it. Don't be taking my ideas, because y'all love to do that. And then don't give me no credit. I learned that 5 years ago. You did? You didn't learn nothing else? I know because it came out in the reading. You know what I'm talking about? You ever just realize either is intelligent? Because smart. Smart is not fitting for what I am. Let's use smart in a sentence. That's a smart idea. That smart is a link. Your turn. Can anyone use smart in a sentence in the chat box? No. Okay. You know somebody named Wendy? You know, if I were to preach a sermon, do you know people would come all over the world to see me? So it's not about being a woman that I don't like. That's not it. Because some of y'all perception is off. Because you're so low, like really down low, that you feel that if someone addresses something publicly, then that means they're against it, or that they are trying to somehow save some people or something. Why they can't just be having a conversation? Some of y'all act like the World Wide Web is only for you. Like, can nobody enjoy life or technology unless you do it first? While doing absolutely nothing for the world, but polluting it. My life has been a life of service. What about yours? Now, they want a windmill for someone that wouldn't give two shakes of a cat's tail about them. That man wouldn't even acknowledge you if you were laying in front of him on the ground. He would step right over you. He would say something like, that was God's pathway for them. Have you falsely believing that you could utter those words to someone else and somehow receive grace from the Almighty? Could you imagine that? An actual heathen trying to prophesy something on your life? Let me tell you something. When I ran an after-school program in the hole that is black in the skull, no one said she is a demon. You know what they did? They brought their children and themselves there to utilize the facility that they didn't even know existed until I came in, opened it up, and aired it out. You know what I'm talking about? We are not the same. When I told them about the party that was black, you know how many eyes lit up? We are not the same. You know what the locals would do? The dudes? They would grab their dice and come shoot right from the door. And I would have to say, excuse me, you can't do that here. We got young impressionables. Give them a chance. You ain't saying no words like that. Because apparently you don't want confrontation while being confrontational. Imagine that. You know, when I start talking about my life, a lot of people don't realize that I've did things. And it's because I don't boast, not brag, boast about it. But since I'm on this platform, I have to, because we got young impressionables. And that's a part of my walk with the man upstairs, not with Lucifer. You know what I'm talking about? What it is what you were taught in distortion is not right. And you are having a hard time accepting that because you want to condemn everyone coming up under you like what happened to you. And because the manip is so strong with this one, he feels like everyone is going to believe him. But it's something about the truly saved and sanctified where they can see something in you. And they'll say, not this one. You know, you know what it means to be Prayed? Up. Because I do. And that comes from the saved and sanctified, not from you. Make no mistakes about that. So now, you understand that there's levels to ether's intelligence. You can't say, put me in a urge with ether and see what happened, because more than likely stuff will come up off of you, not me. This is a fact. What have you done for anyone outside of yourself? When I would pull up to get those children, they would get on the bus and they would be at peace. I did that for 3 years, just about. The entire time of my pregnancy, I worked until I was 9 months. So me and her ain't the same. You know what I'm talking about? Apparently you don't, because you don't know the difference between a woman, a lady, and a heathen. Put that in your sermon. What you ought not do is play with the Almighty. That's what you ought not do. They just gonna go to some person's book that they claim they can't stand as a whole and decide that that is it. And when you do it, can you please film it? Because I want to troll you. When you do it, I want to make it make sense. You know what I'm talking about? So when you grab that book and you utter everything that has already been uttered umpteen billion trillion times in each paradigm, in each era, I can break it down where you understand it. You see what I'm talking about? And you don't have to pay for it, like that car. What it is you see Baphomet because that is what they chose to highlight in that paradigm. But you don't know who else he is. How you know Baphomet ain't St. Michael? I'm just saying, for instance. You know, reincarnation of immortals is a real thing. That's why they have a word for it. If it didn't exist at one point, it wouldn't be a word there with a definition. Who would have thunk it? When you start talking about the us, it's levels. Some people believe that the us comes first, and then you graduate to spirituality. Because you have to have a blueprint. Thou shalt not. You know what I'm saying? Thou shalt not. That's how you say it, not though. You ain't even been around the Mon-ers to understand how to pronounce the stuff. My goodness. What's wrong with you? You could at least step foot in the real one before you start reciting what you think they talking about. How you know in their era, in their timeline, they weren't really dealing with heathens? Yes, they were. Now, when you go to that good Google to study, you're not going to find what you're looking for. because I ain't put it there. Ah, so stay tuned. That is it.